Welcome back to HPL. We just saw Kranich take a 2-1 lead over Dog there with handlock. Now it's going to be really interesting to see if Dog queues up Druid again, because it's just in my mind so much of Dog. You know, when you say Dog, all you think of is Druid. Now, he went to it when he lost game 1 against Rogue. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if he queues up Druid again and keeps going back to his bread and butter every time that he falls back a game. And it's going to be interesting to see what Kranich queues up here as well in game 4.
Yeah, Dog took a really big risk there, I think, with that Reincarnate Shaman in game 1, even a copy of Nat Pagel involved in this deck. And then, like you said, in game 2, after he was down that game, went back to his roots, played that Druid deck, picked up a very decisive victory over Kranich. And then kind of in game 3, it felt like Kranich had a very strong read for what was going on. He decided to queue up handlock. Dog queued up Grim Patron Warrior. It felt like that was like his moment to try to strike with a very powerful deck, maybe throwing Kranich off game 1 with that Shaman, but reading it perfectly and getting paid for it.
Yeah, that was really good on Kranich's side, queuing up handlock and just getting that Grim Patron matchup. And then he showed a lot of understanding of that matchup, always clearing the board every time instead of being overly aggressive and not letting himself get taken out of the game there. He kept his cool, took care of the board, and then won from there. So it's going to be really interesting to see what these players do in the next games, because as you said, Dog showed a lot of range in game 1, but then went to Druid in game 2, and then went to Grim Patron in game 3, which is, as I said, the boogeyman of the series. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in game 4 here. Is Dog going to go back to Druid? Let us know what you think on Twitter. Let us know what you think on Twitter. HPL, use that hashtag. Tell us what you think Druid. If Druid's going to come out from Dog, is Kranich going to win this match? We're going to find out right now. Game 4, Kranich versus Dog.
Yeah, Kranich's style has been very controlling here as of lately, and Hunter's actually what he's going to go with. I was just about to mention his Hunter play. Again, he tends to favor controlling the board, picking up minion kills, and keeping high mana utilization throughout the course of that. We've seen that happen in almost every single one of his games so far. When he's playing Rogue, trying to keep that iron grip that's on the board. Even when he queued up Handlock, that's a deck that's going to traditionally favor picking up minion kills and keeping that high mana utilization. Perfect execution of that in that game. Got him that full 30 damage. And right here, we're seeing him play Hunter. Straight away, piloted Shredder's in here. He's got a copy of Eaglehorn Bow. This looks to me like this is very clearly a mid-range strategy.
Yeah, as we talked about coming into this matchup, we talked that Kranich loves Hunter, but he likes mid-range more. He likes to play to the board, likes to use his weapons to control the board. So you see him actually go face here, because it's not a very, not a very good trade here to throw this into the armor smith.
I gotta believe that this is something like Freezing Trap that's on the board right now. That's going to, very efficiently deal with something like Armor Smith. Throw your opponent's mana off. Anytime that you can disrupt the way that your opponents choose to utilize their mana, that's something we consistently see in professional play, is ways to disrupt that. Whether it be forcing your opponents to deal with minions with stuff like Emperor Thaurissan, or like putting pressure on them with something like Lotheb, or even just Freezing Trap to make sure stuff gets done here. Dog, this is a really, really interesting play here, because what he's doing now is he's putting a lot of pressure on Kranich to do something about this Warsong Commander. If he doesn't, he could have something out of hand that can trigger this Freezing Trap, and that is a very scary thought that could be happening right now. So Kranich's going to take his time and think about how much the extra charge is worth on this Eaglehorn Bow, or whether or not killing this Warsong Commander is something that you need to do. And I got to believe that killing a Warsong Commander is paramount.
Yeah, it's something that, like you brought up about, getting your opponent off tempo and making them play off curve. That's another thing that Kranich and Dog are doing here a lot in this match. Not just that, but they're making weird stress points for their opponents in the games. And it's like, I'm not going to attack into the secret. Are you going to give me the last charge of your bow here? And we saw Kranich give him the last charge of the bow, because he valued the killing of the minion, the killing of the Warsong Commander, a little bit higher.
Yeah, I had to take a little bit of blowback there. Not unhappy to leverage his life total. He's at the full 30, and Dog doing the same thing. Wanting to make sure this piloted Shredder doesn't get out of hand, leveraging his own life total with that Death Spite. And this is the turn that Kranich is going to start pushing for damage. That's 3 to the face with that Goblin Auto Barber, I believe this is called.
Yeah, it is the Auto Barber. Now, it's going to make a pretty big Knife Juggler turn the next turn as well, depending on what Dog does here. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if Dog gets defensive here, because he might need to save this charge on this Death Spite to clean up what's left behind by these spiders.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best ways to deal with Death Spite. To deal with all these Haunted Creeper tokens is something like Death Spite. But the way that these minions have entered play, Death Spite came into play before these Haunted Creepers have. So if he wants to clean these up, he's got to wait for those to actually be killed first. So the Sludge Belcher here, gonna protect his life total, which Kranich obviously is targeting right now, but he just happens to have the perfect answers at every step of the way. Kill Command gonna kill the front half of this. He's got very easy ways to clean up the second half of this. None of his minions going to die in the process, and this is where he's going to start keeping his mana utilization high throughout the game, leaving in his hero powers and keep pushing for damage.
Yeah, I think you're going to see him use a hero power almost every turn for the rest of the game, unless he has a turn where he's going to win.
Yeah, this is kind of a dangerous spot here now for Dog. Not a lot to add to the board that's heavy pressure. And Kranich, I mean, he's in the driver's seat right now. It doesn't look like much, but Haunted Creepers add up to a ton of damage when they go unchecked. So it is important that Dog deals with them. It's just a matter of how inefficiently he can afford to do so.
Yeah, Haunted Creeper, just one of the perfect 2-drops in matchups like this, where you just want sticky minions against the early removal and defense that the warrior decks can mount. Now, we keep seeing this from Dog playing these combo decks. He's not getting the draws that he wants. He keeps drawing redundant copies of a lot of the cards that aren't good in these spots.
Yeah, I mean, this is setting up for a pretty strong turn, though, here. He does have to concede a little bit of this damage on board. I don't believe that Kranich is going to necessarily trade in a spot like this. Again, he's staring down that Death Spike. So the Knife Juggler proposition with trading in these Haunted Creepers looks a lot less appealing at this point. And kind of staring at this board position, Freezing Trap's not very good here. And this is only 2 points of damage, so he's going to take his time here and figure out the game plan he needs to go with. Because right now, he's chosen to go with damage. If he's going to deviate from that, he has to have a very good reason to do so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how Kranich plays this turn. I feel that this is actually one of the most important turns of the game because Dog has a huge setup next turn of trading into these Haunted Creepers, making the 1/1s, killing them with Death's Bite, damaging his own minions more, and drawing a lot of extra cards off of Battle Rages here. So he's got a huge turn set up next turn.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Unleash is the choice here, and so these juggles pretty important. I mean, we're going to have to see how fate decides this one's going to pan out. Look, maybe I spoke too soon.
Yeah, I think he has to unleash the Hounds first, just in case you get super unlucky and lucky at the same time with it taking out the Cruel Taskmaster all at once.
There's going to be a second juggle now. Takes out that Cruel Taskmaster, super important.
Yeah, I love this turn from Kranich. Great turn from him.
Yeah, those are some pretty strong juggles. He's even, whoa, the fact that he's used his Haunted Creeper here is actually sort of interesting. I would have thought he was definitely going to use the
Hound.
Yeah, the Hound's there to take care of this, and this sets up the perfect Death Spike turn now for Dog.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe he just played a little too fast, got a little scared of like roping out, not finishing his turn correctly. It was a very interesting play to see from Kranich.
Dog, he doesn't want to take any more blowback at this point either. Look, he's going to choose to use that Inner Rage. He understands his life total is of paramount importance at this stage in the game. This is going to be, we talked about how we think Kranich is going to hero power every game for the rest of the turn. I think Dog's going to hero power every game for the rest of the turn. Nullify that effect and force your opponent to get the job done with the cards they have.
Wow, a Fel Reaver was just drawn from Kranich.
Just happened, and in the exact same fashion we saw last game, there is no execute on Dog's side of the board to deal with this. This could spell big trouble.
Absolutely, Kranich showing off yet again why he's like known as a brewer, always has his own take, his own little flair inside of a deck, and Fel Reaver does not disappoint. We're gonna see a Battle Rage here from Dog. He's gonna draw 2 huge cards here, and it's gonna burn a couple cards off Kranich's deck.
I mean, unhappy to see the kill command burn, but there's no execute in this hand. Dog does not have a way to deal with this Fel Reaver yet. He's gonna need to draw and execute off this Battle Rage. 2 Savannah Highmanes get burned. Glazezuka's gone. So much damage is now missing from Kranich's deck. 3 card draws being picked up. No execute for Dog. This is so bad for him.
He's going to take so much damage off of this Fel Reaver. He's going to gain a little bit of armor here from this double Armor Smith. This Whirlwind's going to gain a ton of life here on this turn. This double Whirlwind.
I mean, that's the one saving grace he's got for him going right now. And he's
also, Kranich is
oh
out
my
of
gosh,
cards.
he just burned him out of cards.
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention to the fact he cast so many spells that turn.
Yeah, he cast like 4 or 5 spells a turn, actually burned out all of Kranich's deck. Kranich is got to win with just a Freezing Trap and a quick shot from here, and Dog is at 22. 22 here. He's going to go down to 12.
I completely underestimated the power of 2 Armor Smiths with just a bunch of Whirlwinds and burning everything out.
Yeah, and this is actually going to, like, he has to quick shot before playing Freezing Trap here, so he doesn't draw another card.
He doesn't want to take any more fatigue. This is massive for Dog right now. I don't think there's any way Kranich wins this game from this position.
Right, if he deals him 3 here, he goes down to 9, and then if he goes back up to 11, yeah, he doesn't have enough damage left. I think what's going to happen here is you're going to see Dog pick up a win here over the next turn, and wow. I can't remember the last time I saw someone lose to their own Fel Reaver burning their entire deck in 1 turn.
I mean, Dog planned through that turn absolutely perfectly, finding the exact sequence he needed. He utilized every single point of mana that turn. I mean, I thought execute not being there was for sure the end point of the game. But he has shown us very differently now. He's safe. He knows exactly how much damage Kranich can deal next turn. It's 10. He's safe from that attack. He can set up to start attacking Kranich from this position. And once this Fel Reaver is dealt with, or once he's set up lethal on the board, there's no way Kranich can come back.
Yeah, he's still got to set up a kill next turn. It's going to probably involve this Kranich that we've seen here. So it looks like Dog's going to have just enough to do it.
Yeah, there's 4 points of damage from that Despite. Kranich is going to push for more damage, but I mean, it looks like that's going to be the end of me. Again, no cards are going to get drawn. He's just taking extra damage every single turn. And once he sees that Grom, that's going to do it. Dog with a fantastic performance in this game. The Fel Reaver, this is such a weird card, I think, to see in Hunter. We haven't seen something like this, or I don't think I've seen something like this in a long time, basically since GBG had just come out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can kill him here. Grom is actually, it's one short of killing him here.
Well, Kranich is just taking damage from,
he's going to take,
from fatigue.
He's going to take damage from fatigue here, so like, yeah, he's actually just, I don't know how I forgot about fatigue there for a second, but yeah. It looks like Kranich is going to end the game here.
I forgot about fatigue, because how often does Hunter go into fatigue? I've like never seen that happen before.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I cast a Hunter match where fatigue was actually the way someone lost. So we saw a Fel Reaver drawn there, a huge 8/8 mini. It looked like it was going to be very good since there was no execute there to take it down, but it ended up being a hindrance for Kranich since his entire deck was burned out by Dog there that game.
Yep, nothing left for Kranich. Absolutely 0 ways to win. And once again, we have a series tied at 2 games apiece. Dog absolutely on point in this game. Killed every single thing that Kranich threw at him. He wasn't able to push enough damage, and at the very end, again, I thought he needed that execute, but he saw the bigger picture of things. I can just draw a bunch of cards, cast a bunch of spells, gain a bunch of armor, something that warriors do very, very well to end up sustaining through any damage that's going to be thrown at them, and that Fel Reaver just, man, that's one of those X factors you can't really account for, is something like that happening.
Absolutely. You've always got to be expecting the unexpected when it comes from Kranich. He's going to have a little bit of his own flair in his games. We saw it a lot at BlizzCon with that warrior combo like math deck that he had, where he was like he could 30 you in like one turn. It was pretty cool to see. But he always has something kind of off the wall, and you saw it come back to bite him that game. Now we saw Dog put up the Patron Warrior deck the last 2 rounds in a row, and Kranich hasn't played well against it, hasn't been able to beat it yet. So I got to believe he's very, very tempted to queue it up here again in Game 5.
Yeah, anything can happen going into this Game 5. Again, players can change their decks in any way they see fit. Doesn't have to be just cards in the deck. They can change their class if they want to. Anything can happen. Guys, when we come back, we're going to find out who's moving up to 1-0 in HPL and who's picking up their first match loss. Game 5, Dog versus Kranich, right after this. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.